What is up, fight fans? I'm Jim Grieshaber along with Jeff Cain, and this is MMA Weekly, the worldwide leader in mixed martial arts, the most trusted source since 2002. And Jeff, I'm excited because we're just launching a brand new series right here on MMA Weekly today. It's our top 5 of 2020, and we're bringing you a whole bunch of things from the year that was in the UFC. What a crazy year it was with COVID, with all kinds of great championship fights and knockouts and finishes, and so many things for us to talk about and to follow here at MMA Weekly and for the fight fans around the world. And man, I can't wait to bring our fans every one of these shows. We're going to start it right here with the top 5 knockouts of the year. We're going to do submissions, we're going to do fights, we're going to do fighters, and we're going to do stories. And then it's all going to culminate just after the new year. We're going to do a live show with our whole crew, with Ken Pishna, with Jake Hatton, with Scott Peterson, MMA Weekly's top 5 of 2020, and we are excited to kick it off right now, Jeff, with the top 5 knockouts of the year. Let's get right into it. We want to keep these shows moving as quickly as possible and give you fans something to really enjoy for the end of the year. Hope you're having an awesome holiday season. Looking forward to 2021 as we all are powering through it, just like the UFC has COVID and the pandemic this year. Jeff, we start with honorable mention. Who else but the notorious Conor McGregor, UFC 246. The whole world was watching at T-Mobile Arena pre-COVID. 46 seconds, I believe, of round number 1. The shoulders, the head kick, the finish against the fence with the punches of Donald Cowboy Cerrone, the notorious Conor McGregor, re-emerging as a top contender with that finish.
Yeah, it was Conor's long-awaited return to the octagon. And we kind of kicked off the year. That was January 18th. We kind of didn't know where we were headed in 2020 at that point. Yeah, the shoulder strikes, and he couldn't have looked more impressive in his return. I think that there were some questions, right, when a guy's been off that long, how he's going to look. Shoulder strikes and then just left hands and just battered Cerrone against the cage. Yeah, Conor kicked off the year with an honorable mention knockout.
No doubt about it, and that was pretty phenomenal. And then we get into the top 5 right now, and this is something that I love doing, man. I love these shows anytime we get a chance to do these. But number 5, first of 2 from UFC 250 on June 6th at the UFC Apex. I was there in the media tent as Eddie Wineland bit the dust. Sugar Sean O'Malley with a right hand, one and done in round number 1. An impressive knockout, brutal knockout from Sugar Sean O'Malley, something you hardly ever see happen to Eddie Wineland.
Yeah, that's what made it so impressive, was that you just don't see that happen to Wineland. Yeah, O'Malley kind of faked a little uppercut and then just came through with the right hand straight down the middle and just dropped Wineland. I mean, it was over. There was no reason for a follow-up. The Sugar Show at UFC 250.
Sugar Sean O'Malley with some of the best knockout power in the game. He's unbelievable, no doubt about that, with what he's able to do and the things that he's accomplished in his career already. And he did lose his O. His O had to go later in the year, hurt his foot in that fight against Chito Vera later in the year, and a lot of smack talk leading up to that one, but certainly still one of the top up-and-coming fighters in the bantamweight division, Sugar Sean O'Malley. And again, we have another one coming up from that card. See if you guys remember. We'll get there in a minute, but first, number 4, the big boys, the heavyweights. Francis Ngannou leaving no doubt who the number 1 contender is at heavyweight earlier this year. UFC 249 on May 9th against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Those two were fighting to see who would get the title shot after the Stipe DC trilogy was over, and Ngannou left no doubt about it with a huge knockout in round number 1.
Yeah, there was the magnitude of that match being the number 1 contender match puts that up there. And then Francis, he's the scariest guy in all of mixed martial arts, in my opinion. Just the pure power. And whenever he turns it on, I mean, he just unloaded with a flurry and left Rozenstruik just, mauled against the cage. That was every time I watch Francis, man, I get it. I get kind of that nervous energy, because something crazy is about to happen. But I'm also scared to death, man, that he might turn my way one day.
No, and it's one of those things like, when a great home run hitter comes to the plate or, something like that, because you just never know what's going to happen when he steps in the cage. And Rozenstruik, a champion kickboxer, an elite striker, one of the best in the sport, rebounded with a win over Junior Dos Santos later in the year. But Ngannou waiting for that matchup against Stipe Miocic, who beat DC over the summer also. John Jones going up to heavyweight. Should be a great year for that division in 2021. Next at number 3, Jeff, back in Vegas, UFC 250, June the 6th. This one was unbelievable. It's kind of like when you see Tiger Woods in his prime hit a golf ball perfectly right down the middle, or Barry Bonds drill a home run 480, 500 feet. Cody Garbrandt swung from the fence, literally, in more ways than one, and just destroyed Rafael Assunção to pick up a huge win, much needed for him. No love, Cody Garbrandt at number 3 knockout of the year.
Yeah, and you just don't see that happen to Assunção at all. That was Cody was backed up against the cage. The round was ending, and he just dipped down and threw that, like you said, from the fence, from the canvas, from Reno, and it connected in Las Vegas, and left Rafael just, there's no reason for a follow-up. It was, looking back on that knockout almost seemed cartoonish in a way. It was almost didn't seem real. That's something you see like on YouTube or something. That was just crazy. You don't see that very often in a professional fight. Cody, showed no love, and scored a big knockout. Number 3 on the list.
Yeah, and number 2 on the list, and imagine to beat Cody Garbrandt, 2 better than that one from our crack panel here at MMA Weekly. Again, it's not just Jeff and I, it's Ken Pishna, it's Jake, and it's Scott, it's everybody here at MMA Weekly. But man, Joaquin Buckley against Impa Kasanganay, who had just come off of Dana White's Contender Series, fought a couple of times over the summer. Joaquin Buckley, Fight Island 5, October 11th, with one of the greatest kicks you'll ever seen thrown and connected with in the middle of the octagon.
Oh yeah, it was just the rarity of that, right? I mean, you don't see that happen ever. He got a kick caught, and then he pivoted, spun, and did a back kick that landed perfectly. And what made that such an impressive knockout, not only the technique and the athleticism, but kind of the delayed reaction, of how he kind of fell back to the canvas. That's just the rarity of that one. You don't see that every day. And I've seen a ton of fights, and I've seen that happen like maybe twice in my life.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable, too. And Joaquin Buckley, it went viral, sensation everywhere. He did have a loss this year, but really emerged as a top contender at 185, and a tremendous knockout there of Impa Kasanganay, who actually looked like he was in control of that fight a little bit when it happened. But Buckley with a huge, huge finish. Number 2 on the list. All right, Jeff, you ready for number 1? Number 1 just happened. It's a good thing we didn't shoot this show last week, and we were going to, and Scott Peterson said, hey, why don't we wait until after this card, because you never know what's going to happen. Well, the you never know what's going to happen did happen at UFC 256 on December 12th, and it was Kevin Holland against Jacare Souza, the legendary Jacare. What an unbelievable fight that was with Kevin Holland and Jacare. Started early with Jacare in top position, ready to take control and do what Jacare does. Kevin Holland had other ideas from his back. He swung backhand with a hammer fist, almost like a backhand in tennis, wobbled Jacare. As he was getting up, hit him again with his momentum barely going forward, almost like when you flip yourself up from a sit-up, and then finishing him against the cage. One of the most beautiful finishes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, to see somebody generate that amount of power from his knees, basically. And actually, on the first one, he was kind of all the way set down. He wasn't even on his knees. The second one, and then to see Jacare bend back, I mean, he was just on his knees, and he just bent back limp. That was crazy. You just don't see that on the ground. And whenever that fight hit the ground, I think everybody in America or everybody around the world was like, Jacare's got him where he wants, right? This is bad news for Holland. No, not at all. Holland lands, like you said, the backhand, and then the right hand just crumpled him over. That was definitely knockout of the year, in my opinion. I know that we all differed a little bit, but yeah, it's hard to top Buckley, though. It's hard to top Buckley. That was a razor close 1-2 decision right there.
Yeah, and you and I both agreed on this one. And again, Cody no love at number 3. Let's go through them again. Conor McGregor over Cowboy Cerrone, round number 1, UFC 246 in January with the finish was honorable mention. Number 5, Sugar Sean O'Malley laying out Eddie Wineland with one punch, UFC 250 June 6th in Vegas. Number 4, Francis Ngannou over Jairzinho Rozenstruik, UFC 249 in May with the first round finish. Number 3, Cody Garbrandt, no love, got a lot of love when he laid out Rafael Assunção with one shot, swinging from the fence right at the end of the round. UFC 250 in June. Fight Island 5, October 11th. Joaquin Buckley with the kick, the reverse back kick, if you want to call it that, over Impa Kasanganay at Fight Island. And then Kevin Holland over Jacare, the legendary Jacare Souza, UFC 256, December 12th, was number 1. Jeff, this was a lot of fun. We got a few more to go. We got Fight of the Year, we got Fighter of the Year, Story of the Year, Submission of the Year, and our live show to wrap it all up. I'm sure that everybody out there, you can't wait to see our next one, and I'm excited, Jeff, to do these with you. Your final thoughts on the knockouts of the year before we wrap it up.
Well, I didn't realize how many great knockouts there were until we started working through these lists and compiled all these knockouts and then narrowed it down to 5 or 6. 2020 was a beautiful year for knockouts. I think it kind of slipped by partially because the UFC had so many events in a row, like, 3 events in a week. And so you just kind of you don't ever get to really process it all. You're just kind of moving on to the next event, and then you look back on it. Looking back on these knockouts, 2020 was a great year for knockouts in MMA.
There he is, Jeff Cain, 18 years plus here at MMA Weekly, senior correspondent, associate editor, whatever you want to call him. He's got the great beard. He's got the ponytail rocking today. He's got the Christmas sweater in the holiday spirit. I'm Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. More of MMA Weekly's Top 5 of 2020 coming your way. Still to come, Story of the Year, Submission of the Year, Fight of the Year, and Fighter of the Year with MMA Weekly, your worldwide leader for mixed martial arts coverage since 2002. More coming your way soon. Keep it right here. You don't even have to leave this website or this YouTube channel for the best in mixed martial arts coverage.